Why you're allowed to have needs and voice them. Have you ever caught yourself holding your tongue, even when something deep inside you wanted to speak up? Maybe you were in a room full of people, family or friends, and someone said something that didn't sit right with you. Or maybe you were just tired, physically, emotionally, and wanted to ask for help, but didn't. Because you didn't want to be a burden. Because you've spent most of your life being the strong one. Because somewhere along the way, someone made you feel like your needs didn't matter. But let me ask you something gently, heart to heart. When did we start believing that having needs meant we were weak? I'm not talking about wants or whims. I'm talking about real, human needs. The need to rest. The need to be heard. The need for kindness, for respect. The need for space. For clarity. For peace. These aren't luxuries. These aren't things we earn by staying quiet or being agreeable. They're part of being alive. And yet, so many of us, especially as we get older, begin to shrink ourselves. Not physically, but emotionally. We get quieter. We tolerate more. We tell ourselves, it's not worth the fuss, or I'll just let it go. But at what cost? You've spent decades showing up for others. Maybe as a parent, a partner, a friend, a worker, a caretaker. You've poured so much of yourself into people and places. And now, when it's your turn to ask for something, attention, care, even a little quiet, you feel like you're asking for too much. You're not. Let me say that again, because someone out there needs to hear it today. You're not asking for too much. You're asking for what you deserve. There's a quiet power that comes with age. A kind of wisdom that's not loud or showy, but deeply rooted. And part of that wisdom is recognizing when your cup is empty and having the courage to say, I need a refill. But here's the thing, many of us were never taught how to voice our needs in a way that feels right. Maybe you grew up in a household where children were seen but not heard. Or in a generation where being selfless was praised and self-care was considered selfish. So, when the moment comes to say, I'm tired, or I need help, or this isn't okay with me, it feels foreign. Even scary. But I want to remind you, your needs are valid. Your voice still matters. And it's not about being demanding or dramatic. It's about being honest. With yourself and with the people around you. Let's start small. Think back to the last time you ignored a need. Maybe you were exhausted but agreed to something anyway. Maybe you needed a moment of quiet, but pushed through the noise. That moment wasn't just about discomfort, it was about sending a message to yourself that your needs come second. And over time, those little messages pile up. Until you stop asking altogether. But here's the beautiful truth, it's never too late to rewrite that message. Start by tuning into your own body and heart. Notice what feels good, and what doesn't. If your energy dips after a visit with someone who drains you, that's your body whispering, protect me. If your chest tightens when someone speaks over you, that's your spirit saying, I want to be heard. These signals are not inconveniences. They are wisdom. Your wisdom. And from that wisdom, we build the courage to speak. That doesn't mean raising your voice or picking a fight. It might be as simple as saying, I'd rather not today. Or, that doesn't work for me. Or, I need a little time to myself. It's not rude. It's not selfish. It's respectful of you. Because when you begin to honor your needs, something magical happens. You stop waiting for others to give you permission. You stop needing validation to do what's best for you. And that's when you really start to live, not just exist, but live, with authenticity, with peace, with your shoulders a little less heavy. The world has changed, but the pressure to be silent, to be self-sacrificing, still lingers. But what if your silence isn't keeping the peace, it's just keeping you stuck? You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to ask for clarity, for comfort, for connection. You are allowed to have boundaries. You are allowed to say no, and you are allowed to say yes, to the things that nourish your soul. You are allowed to have needs. And more importantly, you are allowed to voice them. Because if not now, then when? Let's keep going. You know, I think a lot of us carry around this invisible rulebook. One we never wrote ourselves, but somehow we live by it. It says things like, don't make a fuss, or don't rock the boat, or be grateful for what you get. And on the surface, those ideas might sound polite or mature. But if we're honest, they've also kept us quiet when we should have spoken up. They've kept us in places, in roles, and habits, long after they stopped feeling good. It's no surprise, really. We've been taught to endure, to adapt, to keep the peace, especially as we get older. But what happens when keeping the peace on the outside creates chaos on the inside? Let me tell you a story. I once met a woman named Carol. She was 67 when we spoke, gentle voice, kind eyes. She told me about how, every Sunday, her children and grandchildren would come over. It was loud, a bit chaotic, and although she loved them deeply, she found herself feeling drained afterward. She missed her quiet mornings, her slow coffee, her crossword puzzles. But she never said anything. Not once. Because she didn't want to seem ungrateful. Because she was afraid they'd stop coming if she said she needed a break. But one day, her body spoke louder than her fear. She got sick. Not from a virus, not from some sudden illness, but from depletion. Her doctor told her she needed rest. Real rest. And so, for the first time, she said something. She told her family, I love you all so much. But I need one Sunday a month just for me. And do you know what happened? They understood. They adjusted. No one got angry. In fact, they told her they were proud of her for finally saying something. Her grandchildren even called her their brave grandma. That tiny shift, that small ask, changed everything. Not because she demanded it, but because she claimed it. Gently. Clearly. With love. Carol's story isn't rare. What's rare is the courage it takes to finally speak. Maybe for you, it's not Sundays. Maybe it's the way someone speaks to you, too sharply, without kindness. Or maybe it's the loneliness that creeps in, even when you're surrounded by people. That quiet ache for deeper connection, for someone to really see you. That, too, is a need. And it's okay to say it out loud. There's no shame in needing companionship. There's no shame in needing alone time. There's no shame in needing reassurance, or patience, or clarity. We don't stop being human when we turn 60, or 70, or 80. In fact, I'd argue we become more human, more aware, more tuned in, more wise. So why do we treat our needs like they're less valid now than they were at 30? The truth is, you don't need to justify what your heart longs for. You don't need to explain why something hurts, or why something helps. You just need to know that it matters. And that it's okay to let other people know it too. But I know what you might be thinking right now. What if they don't take me seriously? What if they think I'm being dramatic or too sensitive? Let me offer this. The people who genuinely care about you want to know what you need. They're not mind readers. And even if someone does dismiss you, brush it off, mock it, ignore it, that says more about them than it ever will about you. And if anything, it helps you draw a clearer line between who truly respects you and who just expects you to stay silent. You don't need everyone to understand you. You just need the courage to understand yourself and the grace to speak from that understanding. And here's something else I want you to hear. Speaking up doesn't mean being loud. It doesn't mean being aggressive. It doesn't mean burning bridges. Sometimes, it's just a soft sentence. A pause. A look that says, I matter too. You can still be kind and say no. You can still be loving and ask for more. You can still be peaceful while standing firm. That balance, that beautiful balance, is where your strength lives. It reminds me of a quote I once read. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you stop, and what you reinforce. Let that sink in for a second. Because every time you speak your truth, whether it's a whisper or a roar, you are teaching the world how to treat you. And the more you practice it, the easier it becomes. Maybe not overnight, maybe not without trembling hands or a shaky voice at first. But over time, your truth becomes your home. Your needs become your compass. And your voice? It becomes your power. This is not about being demanding. It's about being authentic. It's about being honest with yourself and those around you. And it's about choosing to believe, maybe for the first time in your life, that you are allowed to have needs and voice them without apology. Let's take this a step further. It's a powerful shift, isn't it? Realizing that your voice still has a place at the table. That your needs are not a nuisance, they are a mirror of your humanity. And the more you honor them, the more your life begins to reflect that same honesty and care back at you. I want you to think about something for a moment. If someone you love, your child, your best friend, even a stranger, came to you and said, "I'm overwhelmed. I need rest. I feel lonely. I wish someone would just listen without judgment." Would you turn them away? Would you tell them to be quiet and keep it to themselves? Of course not. You'd hold space. You'd listen. You'd say, "I'm here. I hear you." So why is it so hard to offer that same compassion to ourselves? We live in a world that often praises independence, especially as we age. We're told it's strong to handle things on our own, to not complain, to stay grateful no matter what. And while resilience is beautiful, there's another kind of strength that doesn't get enough credit, the strength it takes to admit, "I need help." Or even just, "I need more." There's a quiet dignity in that. A bravery that doesn't always look like armor, it looks like truth. And when you start practicing that truth, when you start saying what you need out loud, it may feel unfamiliar at first. Maybe even uncomfortable. But every time you do it, you reclaim a part of yourself that the world told you to tuck away. You may lose some things in the process. Not everyone will celebrate your voice. Not everyone will adjust to the new boundaries you set. But what you gain, peace of mind, self-respect, emotional clarity, that is priceless. One woman who watches this channel wrote to me recently. Her name is Evelyn. She's 74. She shared how, for decades, she'd said yes to everyone. Babysitting, volunteering, running errands, staying quiet when people took advantage of her time. But after watching one of these videos, she said something shifted. She started saying no. Gently, but firmly. She set new boundaries with her adult children. She carved out space in her day to write again, something she hadn't done in over 30 years. Her message ended with this: "I thought I'd lose people when I stopped being what everyone needed me to be. But what I found was myself. And that was worth everything." That's the heart of this message. It's not just about making demands or drawing lines, it's about coming home to yourself. Listening inward before speaking outward. And allowing yourself the same grace you've offered others all your life. Because you're not done growing. You're not done healing. You're not done becoming. Your needs, your emotions, your preferences, they haven't expired just because time has passed. They're still here, pulsing quietly beneath the surface, waiting for you to acknowledge them. And when you do, life gets richer. Deeper. Truer. It's like tending a garden. Maybe some parts have been overgrown. Maybe others were neglected. But the moment you start watering, pruning, making space for new roots to grow, that's when things begin to bloom again. Even in late seasons. You don't need permission to start. You don't need everyone to understand. You just need one thing, the decision to honor yourself. Today. Right now. And if it's been a while since someone told you this, let me be the one. You deserve to feel heard. You deserve to feel safe. You deserve to feel whole. You deserve to ask for what you need and not feel guilty for asking. So speak. Gently, boldly, softly, firmly, whatever feels right to you. But speak. Your voice is not too late. Your needs are not too much. You are not too much. You are just enough. If this message spoke to your heart, take a moment in the comments to share one thing you're ready to start asking for. Or maybe one thing you're finally letting go of. You never know who you might inspire. And if this video gave you even a small spark of clarity or strength, go ahead and hit that like button. It tells me you want more content like this. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's next. Because this isn't just a video. This is a space where your voice matters, where your story counts, and where you get to show up exactly as you are, needs and all. Here's to living truthfully, one brave word at a time. Here's to living your best life, at any age.